everybody, and welcome back to the Bay Bolts channel for another episode of Quick Strike as the Tampa Bay Lightning are moving on to round three. They're going back, well, not technically back because this year we are headed to the semifinals and not the Eastern Conference Finals, but nonetheless the same thing. Round number three as the Lightning defeat the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 2-0. As always, my name is Jake Ricker alongside my good friend and co-host Michael Wax. Michael, how you feeling after a 2-0 shutout victory?
Jake, that was probably the most complete Lightning game we have seen since Game 6 of the 2020 Stanley Cup Finals. That was a perfect defensive game by the Lightning. A really, really solid performance all around. Not a whole lot of weaknesses, which is, great because the team was firing on all cylinders. Cannot wait to get into the microcosms of the game.
Yeah, they really were playing a near complete game. This is a really good game. So let's break it down. Let's try to go period by period. Then we have a couple fan questions at the end of this. And then we have a Twitter Spaces going on later today. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this video, that's going to be going around 1:30. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Bay_Bolts so you don't miss that. We'll be talking with Greg Linnelli about the Lightning's playoff round number 2 and looking ahead at round number 3. But first period, well, it was just like any other first period in this series. Very tight game going back and forth. Lightning played very well, but nobody could get the puck in the back of the net. This was the Andrei Vasilevsky and Nadal. Man, his name is still so hard to say for me. Nedeljkovic. I still butchered that there. Those two goalies played very well in the first period.
Yeah, so we saw Alex Nedeljkovic go back into the net, replacing Peter Mrazek. Mrazek was really good in Game 3. He was not so good in Game 4. And ultimately, them putting in the younger, less experienced kid was probably a culture shock to him at the beginning of the series, let in some soft goals. Him getting taken out was probably rough for him as well. And then he gets put right back in, and he was fantastic. Like, he was probably one of the comments that I saw from him or from the fans regarding him was he seemed to emulate Andre Vasilevsky's style. He plays very big in the net. He's very lateral with his movements. He made some very key saves. He cheats a little bit when it comes to stopping breakaways and semi-breakaways, going towards the shooter, not backing up towards the net, which is something you see Vasilevsky do a lot. A very, very talented goaltender, and ultimately, like, at some points you really thought that this game was going to be 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 if it wasn't for Nedeljkovic making some key saves.
Absolutely. And by the end of the first period, both teams had some chances, but the goaltenders were standing tall, and we were a 0-0 game heading into the second period. And you're thinking, well, this might be another game just like the first two in Carolina, where the score was 2-1 in both those games. And that trend kind of continued. Second period comes along, both teams. Lightning looked really good. I will just say this now, solid in all periods. They really didn't have a bad period, so to speak, or really maybe a couple of minutes, but generally throughout the whole thing, they just looked solid. They were playing well. They were playing fast. They were playing their game. And we'll get into some of the lines, too, that played really, really well later in this video. But we get our first goal of the game in the second period. It's Braden Point on the power play. This Lightning power play, they had a bad game or two in this series, but for the most part, I mean, just killing it, just like they did in the Florida series where they were over 40% successful on the power play. But Braden Point, wow, what a move he made on this as well. Got the puck in front of the net, had some patience, dangled again. I mean, this kid, he is just unbelievable. It's crazy to think that for some people, Braden Point is the third best player on this team, when really in reality, Michael, he might be the best player on this team besides Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah, I mean, Vasilevsky's always going to be number one, best, most important, all that good stuff. But Braden Point might be the best skater on this team. I talked about a couple of videos
No
ago
question.
how, Nikita Kucherov is great. Like, don't get me wrong, he's one of the best players in the NHL. But his skill set is severely limited when he's got a center that's different than Braden Point, whether that's Tyler Johnson, whether that's Steven Stamkos, whether that's Anthony Cirelli, if those two might play together. Like, his skill set is severely limited when he's playing with those guys and he's not playing with Braden Point. A Point just brings the best out of this team through his gritty play, through his defensive play. He had a couple of really nice defensive plays in this game as well. But I think a lot of this credit on this play, besides the nice move that Braden Point pulled off, goes to Alex Killorn. He really bit Brett Pesci on that fake to draw him into getting Point to a semi wide open look on Nedeljkovic. And then he passed it over and Point did the rest. When you've got guys that are so in sync with each other that they're not even playing on the same line, but they know exactly what they're going to do with each other, that's the perfect way to roll out your team. You know, you can put anybody together with anybody. And we saw that in this game where there were some times where there were uh, different lines out there than normal. And the Lightning still got the puck out of the zone or had an offensive chance or something like that.
Yeah, and the Lightning would be leading it 1-0 after two periods. And as we all know, the Lightning are fantastic when they're leading after two periods. I believe they only have one loss when it comes to after leading in two periods. They know how to play. No question about it. So they go into the third period leading 1-0, and the Lightning's offensive push would continue. They played so good. They kept Carolina outside. Their chances were just, shots from the outside. They got good quality chances. The fourth line of Pat Maroon, Tyler Johnson, and Ross Colton, they were flying high. Heck, even the Sorelli Stamkos line, that second line was playing really, really well as well. Basically, everybody, again, was just playing so well. But it was the Lightning who would break through eventually, and it was that fourth line who much deserved a goal. It was Ross Colton, the rookie, who has had now 3 goals in this postseason, which is very impressive. He makes a beautiful fake shot, totally fools the goaltender and puts it in the back of the net. And the Lightning lead this one 2-0 in the third period. What a shot by Ross Colton, and what a player he's really developed into this year for the Bolts.
Yeah, and what a player he is, what a shot. Uh, not to look too much into the offseason, but the Lightning are going to lose some key pieces, and Ross Colton will definitely slide up into the lineup, and he has earned that. He really has. Like Pat Maroon, Tyler Johnson, Ross Colton, not your stereotypical fourth line. Like I think all three players can at least play in the top nine if you give them the right opportunity. But imagine uh, the heart of John Cooper to say, okay, this line has only played about 5 minutes in the first two periods, and we're going to put them out there for double that in the third period. It really seemed like they were out there all the time. They were flying out there. Uh, the only one that got a point on this was Ross Colton. He got the goal because he stripped Steven Lorenz of the puck, got past Brady Shea, which, Shea has had a tough series, and then roofed it on Alex Nedeljkovic. And I thought all three of them deserved a point tonight. Unfortunately, only one of them is going to get it, but a really, really solid game from them all around. I'm very much looking forward to how Colton specifically is going to match up against the round three opponent, whoever that may be.
Well, the Tampa Bay Lightning would go on to win this game by a score of 2-0. Andrei Vasilevsky, fantastic in the final minutes. He would pick up yet another game series clinching shutout. Andrei Vasilevsky, 29 saves, became the first goaltender in NHL history with a clinching shutout in 3 consecutive series. Also, game 6 of the 2020 Stanley Cup final and game 6 of 2021 round number 1, and now this one here in round number 2. And he's getting up there in the NHL record book for most series clinching shutouts. He currently has 3. The record is 5, held by 2 different goaltenders. Ben Bishop, our old friend, is also up there with 4. So one more series clinching shutout, which Vasi tends to do every time as of right now. Vasi might break that record by the end of it, but he was absolutely stellar again tonight. I mean, he's just some of the saves he makes. And there was one specifically on a 2-on-1 where he came across and made an outstanding glove save. I don't think he's human, Michael. I really don't. It's no other way to explain this. He is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so that save was shorthanded as well. I think we forget that. Like the Lightning had defensive breakdown 2-on-1, and Vasilevsky makes the save of the game, the save of the probably that series. Just he is unbelievable. And I know that we had so many years of great goaltending from Ben Bishop, who again is on that list that you mentioned. But it's virtually impossible to get better after Ben Bishop leaves your team. And somehow the Lightning got better because they have a better goaltender somehow in Andre Vasilevsky.
Crazy.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but I am here along for the ride. I am so cool with it. And we rarely see Andre Vasilevsky struggle in the playoffs. Like we've seen it one year. The rest of the time, he is dialed in. It seems to be the team around him that either fails or succeeds. So when Andre Vasilevsky's on his game, nobody can beat him. There was that sign that we saw in Carolina in Game One, where it
I'll
said,
put it up on screen right now.
my I believe it says my coupons save more than Andre Vasilevsky, which, you know, I'd love to see those coupons. They probably save 100% because
Seriously.
I I just don't understand why people love to chirp when they are starting the playoffs because then it gets to the other players. I'm sure Andre Vasilevsky, even though he probably doesn't have social media right now, he's probably focused on the playoffs. I'm sure he probably saw that. And his main thing was, oh, okay, like Michael Jordan, then it became personal for me. And I just destroyed them. And he had one bad game this series, and that was in Game 4. And the Lightning were a good team that's made sure that he didn't lose that game. So uh, it seems like every time we run out of things to say about Andre Vasilevsky, and then we find new things to say about him because he's just that good.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. Before we wrap up this video, I do want to talk about one thing really quick, and that was the Andre Palat hit. Palat got a penalty for an illegal check to the head in the third period. If you go back and watch the hit, it definitely got his. You can see, I believe it was Brady Shea who did not come back to the game, if I'm not mistaken. You could see his head snap back. However, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. It did look like he may have hit a shoulder first and then come through and hit the head because we saw on the bench too, Brady Shea working with the trainer on that shoulder area. So I think he definitely got hit over there. Not the greatest hit from Andre Palat, kind of coming out of nowhere. I don't know if it's suspension worthy. I don't think, again, player safety is a wheel spin, so you really never know. But definitely a hit that they will probably look at.
Yeah, so that puck was in the area, I guess. Like it was being put into the corner when Palat delivered that hit on Brett Pesci. I think the big thing for player safety, which this should never be what the outcome relies on, but Pesci did not return in that game. Probably, and I don't want to speculate, but probably sustained a head injury. He did get hit in the head. That's not Mike's words here. He got
Of
hit
course.
in the head. I wouldn't be surprised to see Palat get one game. Um, Anything more than that, I think, is rough. But you have to get these types of hits out of the game, especially when the puck is like not near the player. And like there was a hit by Vincent Trocek on Nikita Kucherov, which was like on the other side of the ice. Like I don't understand why players keep targeting Kucherov when the puck is nowhere near it. Well, I do know it's because the referees are too focused on the puck to realize that there's other stuff
It's
going
because he has
going on the
18
ice.
points. That's why.
Yeah, but that was not even like a penalty, and it was I would say like not as bad as the Palat hit because the Palat hit once again hit him in the head. But you have to call these things, and this one it got called. I think a 5 minute major would have been a little too strong on this play, but again, I would not be surprised to see if Palat would get a 1 game suspension because it's a deterrent, and he should stop doing this.
Yeah, no question about it. He definitely did get hit in the head. The only thing you could remotely argue is that maybe there was shoulder contact first and it got hit on the follow through. But nonetheless, it's definitely something that player safety will look at. We'll have to wait and see later today whether there's an in person hearing, on the phone hearing, all of that good stuff. But again, player safety literally just spins a wheel every single time. So you never know. One thing I think going for Andre Palat is also he really doesn't have a history of this stuff either. So that technically should help him in ways of a fine or suspension, something like that. But only time will tell. We'll keep you guys updated. Don't or let me know in the comments down below what you think. Should Palat be suspended for that hit? And if so, how many games do you think he should be suspended? We'd love to hear any and all thoughts that you guys have on this game as well. Be sure to follow us at big_bolt so you don't miss out on updates like if there's an update to the Andre Palat situation. And again, you want to be following us because we're doing Twitter Spaces today. This video will go up today at 1:30. Join us there. We're going to try to post it on YouTube later. So just in case you miss it, you can listen to it there as well with Greg Linnelli. But that's going to do it for us, guys, in today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, your Tampa Bay Lightning are still your defending Stanley Cup champions.
Go Bolts.